Okay, I think we're ready to get started. I appreciate everybody joining us this morning. This is Eric Levy. I'm the Director of Sales for Meridian Business Services. I'm joined here by Doug Borcherding, our Chief Revenue Officer from Meridian, and Tom Nicholson, the Director of Business Development for Webuplex, our partner. And Tom will be the primary presenter during today's partner webinar. The webinar you've joined is Tame the Paper Monster, Trends in Value in Document Management Optimization. And Webuplex's software platform is called Docupeak. So primarily be focusing on that today. As well, we just want to provide a little background on Meridian and what it is that we do here at Meridian Business Services and our partner network. So appreciate everybody that has joined us today. And we'll look forward to diving into today's conversation. To get started, I have a few slides just as a background on Meridian. Meridian is a CPA firm based in Kansas City. We do traditional tax and client services, as well as are a leading NetSuite solution provider to mid-business organizations. NetSuite is a ERP platform that combines CRM, so traditional sales management, inventory management, accounting. And so when we look at it, we really look at it from the standpoint here at Meridian that we live in a shifting world. In this legacy world, there used to be a lot of disconnected systems or loosely connected systems, like an accounting system like Infor, another one for warehouse management, another one like WooCommerce for e-commerce, and yet another one for CRM or Salesforce automation. The idea behind NetSuite is that we bring all of those into one unified platform, so combining CRM, inventory management and financials, and e-commerce as well. For the modern shifting environment, bring all of that data together in a single source. And then we partner with organizations like Docupeak, who have developed native applications, what we call suite apps, into the NetSuite ecosystem to enhance that functionality. So primarily Tom will be discussing today their Docupeak platform and how that is, can help existing NetSuite customers, and also just Docupeak in general and document management and how they're helping organizations tame the paper monster. A little more about NetSuite. So once again, the idea of natively integrating all of the business aspects, really an operating system for your business integrated into a unified environment. So taking a deeper dive when we look at everything from inventory and warehouse management to traditional ERP, enterprise resource planning functionality, the accounting, service resource planning for businesses that have projects, whether it's installations, whether it's project management, and to time and accounting and supply chain management, and then manufacturing. So really the whole gamut of business operations combined into one unified platform for deep visibility and deep organizational process management. So the core business areas that covers typically are customer management, order management, really global or financial, consolidated financial management, billing, revenue management, and inventory management. So when we look across the three areas in an organization, a platform like NetSuite provides a customer 360, so really having that customer master tied together with the e-commerce, abandoned cart, things like that, into the item 360, having a deep item master, product information management really embedded in the native platform, and then order 360, tying all of those together into a unified platform. And so Tom is going to be discussing today how Webuplex helps to handle document management across the organization as well. Tom, are you on the line, Tom?
I am, yes.
Okay. Well, I just want to make a an introduction here, and then I'll hand it off to you. So Tom is our guest speaker. Docupeak is, like I mentioned, and Tom can describe this in much greater detail, but Docupeak is their software platform. The organization that he works for is Webiplex, but Docupeak really is an enterprise-class document management system. They do a lot with accounts, AP automation, bringing OCR and content extraction, and then getting into intelligence and extracting metadata and processing those documents into NetSuite. So with that said, I will hand it over to Tom, and Tom is going to be taking a deeper dive into what exactly Docupeak does, and from there, hand it over to Tom.
Great. Well, thank you, Eric. I appreciate the introduction. I think before we get started, let's just make sure I'm sharing the correct screen here. Eric, can you confirm that for me? Should be our beginning PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, I do see Docupeak. And one other thing that I will mention, Tom, is as we're going, if anybody has questions, we'll be fielding questions as well through the chat window, so feel free to ask questions via your chat window.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great. Well, thanks again, and thank you all for taking some time today to take a look at our integrated NetSuite solution that we provide. What I'd like to do is just start with a brief PowerPoint, and then we'll jump right into taking a look at some real-world activity that the platform provides. So, again, my name is Tom Nicholson. I am the Director of Business Development here at Webiplex. I also manage our NetSuite channel. Our NetSuite channel is one of our deepest and largest integrated channels that we service. So that's definitely what we're going to be focusing on today, and what the aspect that we work with Meridian to provide integrated solutions to their customers. So Docupeak is defined really as a robotic process automation platform. But as Eric introduced us, you can really think of us as a native cloud product that provides that enterprise content management, or document management being a form of content, with RPA, or robotic process automation. The idea of the complete solution, providing the repository and document management functionality along with intelligent workflow. So we'll be touching on that as we go through the presentation today. And to Eric's point, if you have any questions, please feel free to pause me, and we'll address them. So brief history of our company. We've been around for about 10 years now. Again, designed as a cloud product, or multi-tenant, not a legacy system that was converted to cloud. We are cloud, just like NetSuite, and that's what makes us a great integration partner. We've been working with them since 2010. We go to their annual conference every year, and are one of their preferred solution providers. And over the years, we've grown with our NetSuite customer base internationally, and we continue to add. We're actually moving into Asia a bit now too. So it's the nature of the product and NetSuite that we can expand anywhere on the globe, because of how we deliver the platform. Just a brief summary. Why choose Docupeak? Why are we the preferred solution provider for these types of solutions in the NetSuite ecosystem? Well, again, we've been doing this since 2010 with NetSuite, so anything that they've offered up through their API, we've integrated with. So it's an out-of-the-box integrated solution. We continue to invest development resources in our relationship with NetSuite to really provide the most robust integration out there in the space that we provide these types of solutions. We automate and process high document volumes, so we're built for heavy lifting. We've got customers where we're automating over 15,000 invoices a month, and some, around 500, and everything in between. Generally, the feedback we get from our customer base, minimum of 50% improvement in data entry and overall processing of invoices. Because as you'll see as we go through the demo and the presentation, data extraction and content analysis is very important, but it's not the complete process, and Docupeak's platform provides that complete process. What we offer is highly configurable integrated application workflows. So, vendor-built processing or AP automation is a core competency of the platform, but that's the value of Docupeak, is we are a platform and we support really unlimited application workflow. Some of the main ones we provide are our NetSuite customers, vendor-built processing, contract management, a lot of order fulfillment workflow. We're going to focus today primarily on AP, definitely our #1 integrated application, but a lot of core competencies on the platform, and that's a big value point of what we offer. We have a skilled implementation group. All of our project team is familiar with NetSuite. So when you buy a Docupeak solution, we understand how to configure it and fit it into your workflow, and that's what we do. You don't conform to us, we conform to you. And that's all part of our web services API integration, which we'll touch on a little bit later, but single sign-on, real-time two-way data sharing, and a lot more support for custom fields and records. So just briefly, let's kind of touch on each aspect of an AP automation solution with NetSuite. So again, the entire workflow is contained in Docupeak, from import all the way through data entry and repository, providing the repository for the documents and content. So it starts with capture workflow. Docupeak's a multi-channel capture platform, so anything from paper that needs to be scanned, automated email import, dropping files, electronic files, pulling in CSV files, pure web data forms, pure data files, flat files. So we've got all the tools where we can not only automate the import and centralize the import of your content, but automate the processing as well. As you can see in this little screenshot, typically we're bringing all that right into a work queue, process view integrated into NetSuite. So you'll be able to stay in NetSuite if you're a NetSuite user and manage all of that content that's being imported for processing. Now, content extraction, right, that's a big part of it. So after we import all of the content in, we're going to run our content extraction processing on it. Now, we support OCR, a little bit of an older technology, but we certainly support it. We need to do that to convert image to text. We also have use new generation technology, what we call our smart document recognition. We're leveraging our integration with ERP systems like NetSuite to read all the text on an invoice and do away with the need for templates. No more OCR templates. Management, the system, the artificial intelligence capture technology will actually learn or recall data on its own and not have to refer to a template. So same end, just different means, better means, more accurate, more efficient. And of course, we handle any type of exception workflow, managing read errors or quality QA of the content. Let's start with purchase orders, big part of AP. Real-time purchase order integration with NetSuite. We do all the line item returns, all the detail we return from NetSuite. We support full and partial purchase receipt workflow. Really what we do, there's so many different variations of how we can configure our system to perform the PO match from NetSuite, because we have access to all of the data in NetSuite in real time, and then we can update NetSuite in real time as well. Approvals, in some instances, even though the purchase order has been approved in NetSuite, oftentimes customers will request a final approval before a record gets inserted into NetSuite. So we support all of that. And of course, non-POs. You're going to be dealing with expense-based invoices as well, which we can configure the routing in our system as automated or ad hoc as needed to run that through. Any exception processing, absolutely. Any dimension in NetSuite that we want to automate on based on department or GL code or a specified approval path. It can be multi-layered. Really as many levels of approvers as needed, we can certainly do. And of course, all of this we'll train the customer on. So the tables can be updated. You can manage the workflow that we configure, as well as your users and roles in the system. So, of course, the end of the process is us actually inserting the record. So after we've brought the content in, workflowed it, processed it, got it approved, matched, we're going to insert those records in real time. So we're eliminating that manual data entry into NetSuite, as well as linking the document for viewing. So we're not storing anything in NetSuite. We're simply displaying our portal. This is via our web services API integration, so it's in real time. So via, if you've got single sign-on, you get access to NetSuite, we support single sign-on, and then we display any aspect of our portal. Role-based, of course. I mean, we maintain security controls, very much like NetSuite, where your process view is strictly determined by what your role or role group is tied to your user when you log into the system. I just like to go over this screen here really quickly. This is the number 2 application we do for NetSuite customers, contract management. As you might imagine, we store everything. So the way I like to explain what Docupeak does in a simple fashion is we store, import, and store content, and then we automate that content. Some content has more automation than others, right? Things like vendor bills, contracts, there can be a lot of workflow behind them. So we certainly do a lot with contract management, from the creation management process through the signature workflow, and then, of course, a lifecycle management to maintain that contract throughout its life cycle. So really any type of document you can bring into our system and workflow and attach. It can be as simple as just bringing documents in and linking them to records in NetSuite for viewing and just providing an enterprise repository, or it can have a lot of workflow behind it like a vendor bill. But ultimately everything's going to be stored in our repository, and all of the enterprise search tools will be at your access. You get that best of both worlds if you're a NetSuite user as well. So I'm going to touch on all of these in the brief demo that we're going to run through too. So, the document management aspect, the multi-channel capture, SDR, we'll see that in action, PO matching, we're going to insert some bill records, again, touch on that integrated document management aspect, and some routing and approval workflows. Okay. So any questions, Eric, before I jump into our demo here?
No, I think why don't we go ahead and move forward to the demo, and then we'll have some closing remarks after your demo.
Great. Perfect. So where I like to start is, the import and capture. Essentially, we're going to automate the import of your vendor bills into the system. And of course, any type of document will do this as well. So I'm just going to bring some into the system here that we can work on. So remember, with that multi-channel capture platform, typically we see our customers, they're receiving their vendor bills as paper and email. More and more today we're seeing email, which is great because those are text-based documents. There's a lot more we can do with capture on those, but we certainly can work with paper documents as well. In this example here, I'm just going to send an email to our mail server here at WebEplex, and I have our demo cloud watching our mail server, and it's going to look for this account. When it sees it, it's going to automatically import that email to the cloud, remove these attachments, place them in this queue, and then we'll run our SDR processing on it. So all of that will happen simultaneously. It's not a linear process, but it helps, as we walk through the demo, what's going to happen here as I send it in. Now, when we think about paper, paper can be scanned in via email as well, right? We support any hardware device. Most of the network scanners today, you can scan to an email account, and we'll monitor as many email accounts on your server as needed, to bring documents into the system. We also scan to network folders and have other ways to import documents, and most often the best practice will be determined by the project manager assigned to the implementation. But this is pretty common here. Most folks like to use email because it's easy to manage on the IT side for the customer, and it works really well, and we automate the whole process. So let's go ahead and send this one in, and we'll just give it a couple seconds here to, before I refresh it, and then they should go ahead and appear in this queue, and we'll start working with those documents to kind of show you what's happening. So if I go ahead and refresh this, there they are. So I sent in 3 purchase order based ones and 3 non-PO ones, just so we can get a good sense. But this gives you a good idea of just the import automation that we provide. So here we are inside of NetSuite, right? So we're displaying our portal from the center tab view, but always keep in mind when I refresh this one outside, it's just our portal being displayed inside, which is great. So it gives a lot of flexibility when you're configuring the setup for your company, right? Is everybody a NetSuite user? Are some not? Doesn't matter. Everybody can participate in the workflow because both systems are sharing the data in real time. So, through this demo, I stay mostly in NetSuite because it's a great value add, but certainly I'll show you some workflow outside of NetSuite as well that we can touch on. But to get back to our invoice queue here, this is pretty common. We can direct documents to different queues based on the from field of the email. It could be the subject line. It could be a folder you're scanning to. So everything doesn't have to come into this particular folder, but it can, and it is common, really depending on what you're doing. Hopefully that's one thing you'll see as we go through this demo. The platform is highly configurable, and that's a big part of what we do. Customize is a word you could use as well, but there's no programming or scripting on our side. We're just simply configuring each process view to everyone's user, right? So we support unlimited users, and each of those users can have as many roles in the system. It's that platform concept where, a user can be an admin in the accounts payable workflow, and maybe just an approver or viewer in the contract admin, for example. So our licensing is not role specific. I won't get too deep into that, but we do offer concurrent user licensing. So the way you'd manage the system is very, very flexible as far as gaining access to it. But as far as these invoices, let's go ahead and take a look. Let's go ahead and take a look at what happened here. So Docupeak, as you can see, can display data inline. This is nice for customers that, A, want to see it right in front of them without opening the document, and B, it works really well for mobile views as well. But if I go ahead and just start opening these up, as a processor might do, this is a sample invoice with a PO behind it. And what you're seeing over here on the right, this is a Docupeak form. This is what we call a form. It's our terminology. Basically, a Docupeak form is the data or the data fields we're using to index content. So in the case of an invoice, that's the content. So what do we need to capture off this invoice and return from NetSuite to help process this to insert the record? That's the goal here. So, this is an example of what we can display, but please keep in mind, we can lay out more data fields, different ones, different colors, different verbiage. We'll set it up to be yours, but there are some pretty common fields here. Vendor name, PO number, invoice number, total amount. I'm applying today's date, but we certainly could pick the date off the invoice. Just trying to show different aspects of what we can automate. And here's the total amount. So we're going to get all this header information off the invoice. Now, it serves 2 purposes. One, it eliminates some data entry for your people. But 2, we're also going to return detail from NetSuite based on what we can capture off the invoice. So based on the correct read of the vendor name and the PO number, we can now pull back things like status of the purchase order. And this is a live PO, so just so you understand what you're looking at, this is 10045. I go into NetSuite and show you that PO. This is an actual PO in our system. Right? It's pending bill. It has been received, but nothing's been billed against it yet. So just kind of gives you an idea that we're dealing with real live data in NetSuite. Okay, and we're returning that data to Docupeak. So that's a big advantage of what we do as a document management system. ERP systems cannot display data next to the document. We can, right? So that's what makes us a powerful workflow and PO match system. So now you've got the invoice here with the data right next to it. So this is actual PO detail taken back from that live purchase order as well as the status. So in this particular instance, everything matches, right? The subtotal that we're returning from NetSuite matches the amount that's been extracted from the document here. So in this particular instance, we could just insert this as a complete record and link the document in the repository, done. But, you know, if there was an exception on here, we could certainly flag that exception. You know, if they're billing you the wrong amount and it doesn't match the amount in NetSuite, you know, that would be an exception, and we would have to route it for review. So, you know, purchase order workflow can be very, very automated, and it gives your processor a lot of functionality and visibility on the data here. So we also provide nice little features like this arrow button where we can scroll through these invoices. You don't have to continuously open and close them. So in this particular instance here, got another one that match, you know, as you go through. So these can just be inserted and posted as we're going through. So you can already see, you know, how that 50%, you know, processing improvement number might actually sometimes even be a little bit low. You know, as you get to use the system and get comfortable with it, and we tweak it more and more to fit your workflow, you know, the processing speed can be improved even more. So these are just examples of invoices that are matching, you know, but for example, if, you know, things don't match, you know, we could certainly route them to an exception queue as we go through. So, you know, let's kind of take a look at some of that routing with a non-PO invoice. So here's a non-PO one that's come in. Remember, we don't have a purchase order in NetSuite against this. So, you know, we're limited on the detail we can return, but what Smart Document Recognition does, because it's not referring to a template, it can still refer to data that's in NetSuite to improve the processing of this invoice. So in this particular one here, again, we've got some header fields, you know, that we're going to pick off the page for you, the total amount, invoice date, you know, things like that, invoice number. But as far as expense items, what we do is we will display, based on a successful vendor read, the most recently indexed items. So in this instance here, the last Steel and Frockle Offices invoice we received was coded with these expense items, and the subtotal was this. Does not match the new one, but we're saving keystrokes here, right? So you shouldn't have to rekey everything in. You know, we've got customers that have 100 items here, and typically they've only got 2 or 3 account codes applied to it. So, you know, they don't have to key that in. Just another example, because we're integrated so tightly with NetSuite, we can auto input, you know, department. If sales is always associated with this account code, we can auto put it in here. So this is actually all data coming from NetSuite. So just to give you a sense, you know, we can look up and pull back an entire table, right, from NetSuite. Okay, so we're going to validate the information here. You know, we can also start keying in, you know, letters, numbers to pull back aspects of the table as well. So even if you've got to key in some of this information because you don't have a purchase order behind it in NetSuite, we still make it a lot easier. But for this one here, I'm going to route this out to somebody in our facility. Now, here I'm using our ad hoc routing feature. A lot of folks like this, where you can just choose where it goes, but I'll also be showing you some automated workflow. Remember, through the PowerPoint presentation, you know, any type of exception or, you know, dimension, we can certainly automate routing on. So this one I can save. This one's been processed, and now we go to the next one. So hopefully you're getting a sense of how you can really quickly go through the queue here and process these as needed. You know, and this you could just keep going on and on and on. But you know, we'll go ahead and end it there as far as what we're processing. Now these, you know, can all be inserted, right, as records. We can post them all. because they all matched. So from here, you could certainly post into the system. This one here, we could route. These are just examples of how a processor in that initial workbench can really manage the process here of processing these vendor bills into NetSuite. And of course, this could be done outside of NetSuite as well, depending on how you want to configure these things. So this is really a great way of automating the import of the invoices. Once everything hits our system, we are tracking and time-stamping everything that happens. So we have full audit controls in our system. Okay, so again, not only are we an AP automation tool, but we're an enterprise content management system. So we're helping companies and organizations meet their compliance needs. So this is one way that you can audit down to the document level. Any data in our system is exportable to Excel spreadsheet or CSV file. So you can report on any data in the system. We'll kind of get into that as we go along in the demo here. But at this point, I like to actually jump outside here real quickly and kind of stimulate what Barb might see. So remember, we assigned this one to Barb ad hoc. She may not be a NetSuite user. She may be. Maybe she's at home and she just doesn't want to log into NetSuite. She's just going to access this through Docupeak. She's on her mobile device, which we certainly support mobile views. But we can do things like sticky notes and, again, display data. So she's got a good idea from here, if she can approve it or not, or what she needs to do. But obviously, she needs to code it. She's going to go ahead and open this document up and do what she needs to do. So you notice here we can display everything as needed in the form. Again, these are just suggestions. We don't have to put all this in, but a lot of our customers like to display history, of course, the collaboration notes, no more emailing each other. Everything's contained right in our system. So, she could come in here and see, okay, actually, I just need to adjust this one amount. Everything else is the same, right? It's the same department that's ordering it. It's going to be applied the same expense. So all I need to do is update the amount. It's still for supplies. Save it. We're going to do the calculation on it. So we adjust that to meet what's on the invoice. So she can say updated, please review for posting. Okay, and she can go ahead and just approve from right here and complete that. Now you notice, if some of you have, I did not select Approver 2. Right, so this is just to show you how we have some automation that can be built into the system. And again, you're going to be able to control this automation as well. If you need to change the workflow that we've configured, you'll be given access to system admin menus to do that. But to move along with this particular demo here, you notice it's now left her queue and it's moved over to somebody else's. So that's what we're doing. No more email. You're just logging in and out or accessing the Docupeak process view, whether it's in NetSuite or out. You're going to have access to all of that. Now, typically what our customers in the field do is they'll want notifiers. So we do use email for notifiers. So Barb might have gotten a notification, click the link, brings her into Docupeak. Same thing with Alan here. You notice it does go to Alan. I knew that because I set up this demo, but we can route it, automate that routing based on anything. My routing here is actually based on limit levels and a limit amount. So I've got a 2-level approval process, and we'll give you access under this administrative tab, just to show you that really quickly, on managing your workflow. So if you look at mine here, I've got Barb to Alan. If it's under $5,000, if it's over, it goes to Winston. Barb may be out sick, so Carol's going to cover for her. Alan doesn't work for the company. Dave can handle up to $15,000, but now it has to go through Paul. Once I click Save, it will change the workflow going forward. So we'll give you these tools that you can use, and of course, exceptions as well. I've got some exception examples here. Specific account codes and departments need to be assigned to certain people. So we can get very, very complex and granular depending on what you need, for your workflow matrix. But to get back to Alan here, he can go ahead and open this one up, just so you can see. You notice all the notes are here. History's been time-stamped. All of this can be displayed in the form. And of course, we can limit the display. I get questions a lot, can you limit the expense table in NetSuite to certain users? Yes. And, can you limit not show the history to certain users but others? Yes, of course. So all of this can be really customized or configured to reflect your login credentials. What is your role in the system? And that will determine what you see. Now, for this part of the demo, I like to jump back into NetSuite and just get a different look, a different process view. So, instead of just field approvers or, non-management probably, let's take a look at maybe more of a management process view. Typically, you'd be accessing this through NetSuite. Most of our customers do, but this would be maybe for a controller, a finance manager, or a CFO, where you want to get eyes on everything. So you want to have access to our search engine. You want to have documents delineated by folder and status. So in this example, in this inbox folder, I only have one here. You could have hundreds, of course, thousands. This is everything that's pending approval that has not been approved. Of course, I have a folder where everything's been approved, and we can, assign roles and access, like maybe accounting just sees the approved folder. The inbox is management and accounting, things like that. You can run reports on what's approved, what's not. One of the nice reports that our customers like is users can now have an image list of everything they've approved. So you can do a search and pull up everything you've approved in the last 6 months, and it will pull up all the documents for you. Right? So we can do a search based on any filter with any parameter to find whatever data. Pull up all the Steel and Frock vendor invoices pending under $2,000 assigned to Alan. And we can pull that data up. We can export any data to Excel. We do a lot with accrual reporting, for example. And we can do the calculations in Excel as well. So we'll pull out the line items, the header detail, run that calculation for you, and provide a nice report. You don't always have to do a save search. We can certainly take a save search and put a menu button up here. So if you're always doing a particular type of report, we can do that for you. So a lot of functionality you have in here. These are just examples of command buttons on the menu. Maybe you want to send out notifications. We can automate those notifications. We can have custom messaging in those notifications that go out to your approvers, and we can auto-time those as well. Send them out every 24 hours that something's not approved, things like that. So we put a lot of automation into this process, so the accountability and the manageability of the process increase tenfold, especially from a management perspective. But we can also put things in like rush approve. Maybe Alan's either taking too long, or you just have to get this paid and you just bypass it. You can just read it, and we can just move from one queue to another queue and move things in and out of the process view. But as a manager, you're going to have access to see all of this. And here's the one in here we rushed. And of course, you could send it back. We can do things like, well, this still isn't right. Send back for review to Barb in the beginning. All types of things, workflow configuration and menu buttons, we can certainly give you access to. But if this one's good, we could insert this as well and post it to NetSuite. If it's not, I can send it back for review. If I click this review button, away this one goes, and it's actually gone back to Barb. Okay, so she's gotten it back now, and now she's got to adjust something that wasn't right. I probably could have put a note in there too. I skipped over that, but I might have put a note in, please adjust line 2 or something, or contact vendor, this isn't right, something like that. But you can collaborate through our system as well. To kind of go back to the beginning and the end of the process, the repository. So once we insert these records, if we take a look at that record we inserted at the beginning of the demo, 1045, yep, 1045. This is that record that we inserted. Okay, all the header information, we can insert it on any status. I mean, we support custom fields and records in NetSuite, so we're just going to simply insert it as needed, and we're going to insert the line items and then link the document for viewing. Okay, so this is stored in Docupeak, but we're going to display it at the record. Okay, but remember, you get the best of both worlds as far as the document management repository. Before I show you that, here's the purchase order record that we looked at earlier that is now fully billed, and we've, of course, completed and closed it out here. So we're going to update all that. You can even update the item receipt and purchase order from Docupeak. You know, a lot of customers that do that as well. Sometimes they'll actually receive against the vendor bill, you know, as it comes into the company, not, you know, inventory being updated through NetSuite. So a lot of things we can do because of our integration. But when we talk about the repository, yeah, that's great. You can go to any record in NetSuite and you can view documents, but you can also access more of a repository view, and this is part of that document management functionality that just comes with the platform, right? I mean, that's the big separator of what we do in this space in the NetSuite ecosystem. Is there are other, you know, AP automation systems and OCR, but none of them provide this enterprise solution where, you know, capture is included, import, document management, and then, of course, AP automation as well. But this example here, I've got a process view of all the invoices I've collected over the, you know, past 7-8 years I've been doing demos with NetSuite. We can now search across a repository. So maybe we want to do a vendor date range, you know, with these parameters. This is one of those examples of a saved search. And I run a quick search through there and pull up all the documents. You see how it targets the filter. You know, those of you that aren't familiar with enterprise document management, that's the power of metadata. So rather than just a file cabinet or a folder repository, now we're storing all your documents in an enterprise repository, which has metadata and indexing associated with it. So we can search on any of that. We can search on text. We could search on any data in the form that we collected. You know, even those collaboration notes we can search on. So, you know, maybe you're trying to find a document based on a comment. Sure, we can search on that too. You know, a lot of things we do specific to NetSuite. Another one we do is of course, check run reports. You know, because, you know, NetSuite's not a document management system, you know, it has difficulty bringing up documents and linking data to it. We can do that. So we can certainly run a search. Check number 102 had one invoice that was paid on it. So we have that. We can go ahead and print that out of the system. We can even choose what pages we want to print. We can combine documents together. And then we can email this, we can download it. You know, it just depends what you want to do. But there's a lot of document management functionality that just comes standard with the platform. And that goes for all of the documents in the system. You know, whether you've got, I'm just going to touch on this quickly, whether you've got, you know, some type of library here, you know, storing sales orders or company policies for HR, you can have access to our repository view and search engine. Or, you know, of course, you can find anything in NetSuite. Maybe I'm looking up a customer record, and I want to view a contract that's associated with it. You know, we can apply our entity here and then display whatever we want. So, you know, definitely wanted to focus on document management and AP automation today, but hopefully you've also seen that the platform has many core competencies, all of which are included really at no additional cost to the platform. So we support a limited application workflow. Think of our platform as including everything to configure any application. It's all in there. You know, we just simply configure it as needed, and then concurrent licensing access to gain access to those applications. Okay, well, usually this is a good point where I stop. Eric, if you want to open it up for questions, or if there have been some questions, I think maybe in the last 10 or 15 minutes or so would be a good time to address any of those. Maybe I missed something.
Okay, thanks, Tom. I don't think we've seen any questions come across so far, but we are happy to answer any questions via email that do come across, or over chat in the remaining minutes here. We'll provide our email address as well if you'd like to ask any questions that pop up in your head later on today after the end of our webinar. So once again, I appreciate everybody joining. For those of you that may not be familiar with NetSuite and Meridian Business Services, I thought I'd just end it with a couple slides on why NetSuite is, why Meridian has chosen to partner with NetSuite and why it's such a popular mid-market ERP application. So Tom touched a lot on the cloud, multi-tenant SaaS platform. NetSuite is the same. NetSuite was a leader in this space, in ERPs almost 20 years ago, creating one of the first multi-tenant cloud platforms for ERP. And so it's one of the reasons why third-party analyst firm IDC named NetSuite as the leader compared to a lot of traditional ERPs, is that all of the ERP modules run in a single database and a single code base. So that means when you look at business intelligence, look at data analysis, able to gain deep data insights across the business through one platform and everything in one database. So the NetSuite, their proven benefits have been proven time and time again. NetSuite worked with SL Associates, a third-party firm, once again, to analyze customer results. And SL Associates created these customer case studies, that prove the benefits of NetSuite and what organizations have seen on average from moving to NetSuite. 40 to 70% reduction in financial close, reduction in invoicing costs, 10 to 20%, that's a big one, improvement in days sales outstanding, reduction in IT costs, and really coming back to that idea of all of the data being in one unified database, a 50 to 80% increase in 360-degree visibility. So really what that means is being able to manage by exception, see problems before they occur from a management standpoint, getting better analytics and data insights, both on the financial side of document processing of what Tom talked about, and then just across the organization overall. So I like this quote from the CIO of Splunk on what Doug had to say about NetSuite. Splunk is a fast-growing technology firm, and NetSuite, having all that information in one system, allows them to spend time really drilling into the data, doing analysis on the data, and maximizing the organization's performance instead of having to worry about combining all the different systems together, creating additional databases, data warehouse, et cetera, to find the find the trends and find challenges in the organization. So as far as Meridian and what we do, like I mentioned in the beginning of our conversation today, Meridian is a CPA firm with over 10 years of experience on the NetSuite platform. It's the sole ERP that we work with here at Meridian. We oftentimes look at it from a best practices and organization optimization standpoint, and that's why we work with partners like Tom and other partners in our ecosystem to find the right fit for clients to really help optimize their organizations, especially as they grow. Our proven implementation model utilizes consultants that have operational end user experience. A lot of our consultants have sat in the seats of those of you attending today's webinar, whether it's in an accounting role or purchasing role or inventory management role. A lot of them have deep industry expertise across a wide variety of industries for improving the operations in an organization. Really across both sides, the back office and the front office, since NetSuite touches both sides quite heavily. So once again, I appreciate everybody joining us today. I hope that you can join us for our next webinar, How Agile is Your Business? Harnessing Digital Transformation to Survive and Thrive. And during that presentation, Doug will be seeing ways that organizations are creating agility, and how digital transformation really isn't just a buzzword, but an overall way that an organization can improve their processes and create efficiencies and create strong growth in today's marketplace. So once again, if you have any questions, you can email us, sales@meridianbusiness.com. If you have any questions about both Meridian, NetSuite, or Docupeak, we can certainly field those to Tom as well. So feel free to email us there or call us, and we certainly appreciate everybody joining us today. Have a great day.